Hey weirdos, welcome back to Paranormal Files, the show where we investigate haunted houses, cursed objects, and anything else that makes my therapist deeply concerned. I'm your host, Bloody Mary, the only person who thinks, if something scratches me in my mirror, I better be getting paid. Today, we're heading to Alcatraz, a place you've probably never heard of, unless you're from there, or you're a ghost. Ladies and gentlemen, demons and skeptics, this is the story of Alcatraz. On an island carved from stone, surrounded by icy, unforgiving tides, sits one of the most infamous prisons in American history. But for all the legends of escapes and mobsters, another story lingers in the crumbling walls, one of shadows, whispers, and things that go bump in the solitary cells. This is Alcatraz, and these are its ghosts. The is land before the prison. Long before it became a concrete cage for America's most dangerous men, Alcatraz Island had a different life. And a different kind of darkness. The Ohlone people, indigenous to the San Francisco Bay Area, avoided this island. They believed it was cursed, filled with evil spirits and home to restless souls. Some tribal accounts even describe it as a place of exile. Not exactly a relaxing weekend getaway. When Spanish explorers arrived in the late 1700s, they called it La Isla de los Alcatraces, the Island of the Pelicans. Not exactly intimidating, but by 1850, President Millard Fillmore trivia fans, rejoice, claimed the island for military use, and that's where the story really begins to spiral. Fortress to prison. By the 1850s, Alcatraz was transformed into a fortified military outpost. Its strategic position at the entrance to the Golden Gate made it perfect for defending the bay. Cannons, tunnels, and barracks filled the rock, and in 1861, during the Civil War, it became a military prison. Who did they hold? Confederate sympathizers, spies, Native American resistance leaders, and bizarrely some civilians. One of the earliest prisoners was a man who accidentally started a fire in San Francisco. Talk about overkill. By the early 1900s, it had become a fully functioning military penitentiary. But it wasn't until 1934, during the Great Depression, that Alcatraz leveled up into something darker. The Federal Nightmare. From 1934 to 1963, Alcatraz was a federal prison built for inmates who were considered too dangerous, too disruptive, or too escape-happy for other facilities. Basically, if you were a real-life GTA character, they sent you here. Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, Alvin Creepy Carpus, Robert Birdman Stroud. Alcatraz wasn't about rehabilitation. It was about isolation, punishment, and psychological warfare. Inmates spent 23 hours a day, locked up, surrounded by cold steel, concrete, and the constant roar of the sea. One former guard said, "You came here to disappear, and some people think they still haven't left." Haunted hotspots. Let's take a spooky stroll through Alcatraz's greatest hits, the places where the living felt less alone. Cell block D solitary confinement, nicknamed The Hole. This place was pure sensory deprivation, no light, no sound, no human contact. One inmate was locked in here, and screamed all night about glowing red eyes in the darkness. The next morning, he was dead, strangled, alone. Official cause of death? Suicide. But, unless this man was also Stretch Armstrong, that's hard to buy. Park rangers today report strange activity here. Sudden cold drafts, voices in empty cells, and shadows where there should be none. The phantom banjo of Capone. Al Capone. Yes, the Capone, claimed he was haunted by someone he had killed. Toward the end of his sentence, he was reportedly mentally deteriorating. He spent hours playing the banjo here, alone, trying to keep the ghosts at bay. To this day, people hear the sound of a banjo echoing through the shower 7 when there's no one inside, unless there's a ghost with incredible rhythm. That's hard to explain. The Utility Corridor Shootout. In 1946, one of the bloodiest escape attempts in U.S. prison history occurred during the Battle of Alcatraz. 6 prisoners, armed with smuggled weapons, tried to take over the prison. 3 officers and 3 inmates died in a brutal 2-day standoff. Visitors and rangers now claim this area, specifically the Utility Corridor, echoes with phantom gunshots screaming and apparitions of men crawling across the floor. Either it's ghosts or the world's worst reenactors. Alcatraz in decline. In 1963, after years of high operational costs, decaying infrastructure, and public controversy, Alcatraz was closed, but its legend only grew. Over 1,500 inmates served time here, and some maybe still are. In 1969, a group of Native American activists occupied the island for 19 months, claiming it under the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie. They painted messages like peace and freedom on the building sands. Strangely, many reported hearing strange voices and experiencing unexplained lights during their stay. So, even those who weren't prisoners found something unsettling here. Some rangers have said they've seen full-body apparitions in old guard uniforms, heard footsteps pacing above them when no one else was on the floor, and even heard cell doors slamming in a building with no power. All right, we've seen the cells, heard the whispers, and maybe caught a ghostly whiff of prison stew circa 1943. Now it's time to break down the theories behind why Alcatraz might be haunted. Spoiler, it's not just because people really hated being here, although valid. The residual energy theory. This one's your classic ghosts on repeat theory. The idea is that traumatic events like isolation, violence, despair, and listening to Al Capone's banjo solos for the 100th time leave behind an imprint. So the screams, the footsteps, the slamming doors, they're not ghosts per se, just the world's worst mixtape playing on loop. Think of it like Spotify for suffering, except you don't control the playlist and it's mostly just people yelling, "Get out." Intelligent hauntings. Now this is the one where the ghosts know you're there. They whisper your name, flicker the lights, and shove you down the hallway like a paranormal bouncer. Imagine spending decades trapped in solitary, and then you get a visitor. Only it's a tourist with a GoPro and a Mountain Dew. Of course you're going to haunt them. Multiple guests and rangers have reported voices, cold spots, and even being touched, which, is technically assault but also kind of sweet. Ghosts are nature's loneliest roommates. Quartz plus limestone ghost batteries. Alright nerds, this one's for you. Some paranormal theorists believe that the geology of Alcatraz, specifically its quartz and limestone foundation, acts like a giant supernatural USB drive, storing psychic energy. So basically, Alcatraz is an island-shaped power bank for ghost trauma. This would explain why people hear the same sounds and see the same figures in the same places. The theory's not proven, but let's be real. Haunted rocks are way more fun than boring rocks. It's all in your head. Or, hear me out, what if there are no ghosts? Gasp. Plot twist. Turns out, if you lock people in a creepy prison, strip away the light, throw in some violent history, and maybe pump in a little fog machine, your brain's like, yeah, this is definitely haunted. Please run. It's the power of suggestion. The prison has been featured in so many horror stories, shows, and history books that visitors practically come here expecting ghosts. And the brain is like a well-meaning horror director. It fills in the blanks with stuff that'll mess you up. The ghosts are just retired guards theory. This one's completely unsupported by evidence. But I like to think some of the spirits here aren't prisoners, they're guards who clocked out and just never left. Imagine dying and still having to do your 12-hour shift. That's not a haunting. That's a union issue. Capone's Ghost Jam Band. Let's not forget Banjo Capone. If residual energy is real, this dude is hosting the world's spookiest jazz night in the showers. Ghosts doing jazz hands. It's canon now. Some visitors swear they've heard plucking strings in the middle of the night. But let's be honest. If you're being haunted, a banjo is not the instrument you want. That's like being chased by a killer clown, on a unicycle, playing kazoo. So, is Alcatraz haunted? Maybe. Maybe it's ghostly echoes. Maybe it's our overactive brains. Or maybe someone really doesn't want you stealing their old cell. Whatever the case is, something lingers on this island, and until science figures out how to make ghosts pay rent, they're probably staying. Closing thoughts. Alcatraz was built to break men. But maybe it broke something deeper, something that echoes through time. A place like this doesn't just disappear. The people, the pain, and maybe even the spirits remain. So, was Alcatraz haunted? If it's not, it's doing a damn good impression. And if it is, well, someone should really check on that banjo. Until next time, stay spooky.
What paranormal case would you like to see next? Comment below. Hey subscribers, it's Hanako here again. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you, and feel free to share this video with anyone who might enjoy it too. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video.